Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of 101 Performance. Thanks for joining us again. Today we are going to do a little experiment for my d16 engine that's going in my Civic. The experiment we are doing is, you may have heard of a product called Cerakote, I think it's called. Basically, they make a ceramic coating for the piston tops and combustion chambers of your engine, which helps keep the heat in the combustion chamber. However, it's expensive and requires a little bit of a curing process that I can't do. And I'm always trying to find a budget way of doing anything. I really like to do my own research and development, if you will, because the more that I can prove to myself that something works, the more I want to use it. So with that being said, VHT makes a product called header paint, and with their header paint that they make, which is a ceramic base or dry silica ceramic paint, I don't know, I didn't read too much up on it. They state for their applications can be used for headers, exhaust, and even piston domes. So I'm kind of skeptical about that because it's not a two-part product. It is an air dry product, and I didn't know, VHT, something you get from O'Reilly's, I just don't feel like it can hold up to a combustion chamber. So I'm doing my own experiment for it. I don't have the VHT paint yet. I ordered it. I really hope that it'll be here tomorrow. But today we're just filming the before process. So basically, the rundown for it is, I have a single piston lawnmower that we're going to basically do a dry run. So the head hasn't been coated. We're gonna basically start from when the engine is cold until it gets, to its operating temperature, and we're gonna take thermal measurements of the fuel temperature, the head temperature, and the exhaust temperature to see if the ceramic coating that we're going to put on the head changes anything. Now, it's not going to change the fuel temperature. The fuel temperature is just for a baseline. However, we're coating the head, so we should see a slower temperature climb in the head to operating temperature, and we should actually see higher exhaust temperatures because the head will be reflecting the heat of the combustion cycle into the exhaust system. So our setup is going to be, we're going to set the camera on it, we're going to run the engine for 10 minutes and take measurements every I think 30 seconds, which will give us a data point list of 60 points of data. And what we have made, or what my wife has made, is this list here. Basically says fuel, head with 2 Ds, and exhaust. And we're going to record that information. And we're just going to see if this product actually works, or if I need to go a different route and get the Cerakote and just do it properly, I guess. I just want to see if it works, and if it works, then I can maybe do it for other people, or give people kind of a way to go if they want to do it that way. So I guess we'll run up to the garage, get set up, start filming. We are set up. We are going to run it inside the shed to stay out of the heat. It is a pretty hot day, and I don't want the sun to affect the results. So we're using a infrared thermometer to read the heat on the fuel, head, and exhaust. I will make all my readings in the exact same spot, or as close to as exact as possible. We're running a timer on Rachel's phone, and we're going to take measurements every 30 seconds and record them, and then we'll end up pulling the head and kind of seeing what the carbon buildup on the head looks like. This engine is fairly new and really hasn't had much time on it. We also ran a decarb solution through it to try to clean it up before we did this test. So with that, I guess we'll get started.
Stars fall feet, keep me grounded as I reach higher than I see. Is there something there for me? Pulling back the reins, letting go again. I'm not afraid, I'm not. All my life, one page at a time, I'll show you my true colors. No, no, I won't apologize for the fire in my eyes. Let me show you my true colors. It ain't your rainbow. I'm not afraid.
Alright, sorry if you can still hear the mower, but it took roughly 3 minutes for the engine to reach its peak temperature, so 10 minutes was definitely significantly too long, but we're gonna allow the engine to run the full 10 minutes and take a post 10-minute measurement and see what that temperature is. Ultimately, what we want to see happen is the warm-up time take a lot longer and the peak temperature on the head to be even a few degrees lower. So we'll wait till that 10 minutes is up and take that measurement.
That'll work. Oh, sorry.
Alright everyone, we killed the engine. It has been the full 10 minutes. The gas tank reads 101.8 degrees. The cylinder head reads peak temperature 294 degrees. And the exhaust reads 321 degrees. Okay, so after the door's beating up the Wi-Fi here. So after the 3 minutes, I think it was, that the engine reached peak temperature at the max RPM of the engine, whatever the RPM of the engine is set at, I have no idea. We reached 350 degrees on the head and 355 degrees on the exhaust. And so after we reached the peak temperature, I idled the engine down to set at its lowest idle, I guess, whatever idle it is, at the lowest speed that I can set it. And our ending temperature after a 5 minute, or I guess 7 minute cool down, was 294 degrees on the head and 321 degrees on the exhaust. So now we're going to take the head off and see what the carbon buildup looks like inside the head, and we'll be able to use that to compare it after the head has been painted. Alright, here's the cylinder head. This is the exhaust side relief for the head. This side's the intake, and the combustion chamber is fairly carbon free. I mean, it's got a little bit of buildup, but not really a whole bunch, and it's actually really soft. You know, I just wanted to see how hard it was. I definitely won't be doing this once the cylinder head has been coated, because I don't want to scratch the coating. But I just wanted to give an idea about what it looked like inside. We are going to thoroughly clean this up to almost like sandblasted type texture before we paint it. So once I get the paint in tomorrow, we will get it painted, cure it, put it back on the engine, and do the exact same test and see what we come up with. Hey everyone, we are back in the engine room, as you can see by my beautiful block here. We got the cylinder head off, which you guys seen, and I cleaned it with a degreaser that I use, and I also cleaned up some of the heavy carbon with a wire wheel and my Dremel, then used 80 grit sandpaper to just kind of give it a light scuff. It's really clean. Pulled the spark plug out of it and had it in the toaster oven here at 200 degrees for 20 minutes to outgas the aluminum, since aluminum's porous and it can actually hold oil within itself. We try to want to make a best case scenario for a worst case scenario, and I call this a worst case scenario because when I do the pistons and the cylinder head, I'm actually going to have them sandblasted. They're going to sit in acetone for 30 minutes. They're going to do this outgas process. It's going to be far more elaborate. I just want to make a worst case scenario and see if this paint sticks. If it won't stick in this worst case scenario, I may try a best case scenario, and just to make sure that we're not running into any problems. So the paint that I was talking about, which actually showed up a day early, so we did get it today, is VHT flame proof for exhaust headers and stuff. So I'm going to follow the instructions to a T, with also adding a couple of my own touches for, you know, cleanliness and stuff. This does have to be cured after it's painted. I bought the primer, this red, and the satin clear. I bought it off of Jegs website. Well, actually I bought it off eBay, but Jegs was the seller. And VHT, they claim on their website that this can withstand a combustion chamber. They quote that it can withstand the combustion, the cylinder head combustion chamber, and being on a piston dome top. So that's what we are testing with this. We're going to get this set up in the garage again so that I can paint it. I do have to let it fully dry before I can start curing it. The curing process for it needs to be done. It's 30 minutes at 200 degrees. Yeah, it's 30 minutes at 250 degrees, sorry, 400 degrees for 30 minutes, and then 600 degrees for 30 minutes, with a 30-minute cool down period between each deal. With my toaster oven here, I can actually go only to 450 degrees, so we're going to take it to 450 degrees twice, and then again, like I said, this is the worst case scenario. When I do the pistons and the cylinder head, it'll all be done correctly, the proper temperatures, etc. So we're going to get that done, and in case you have any questions about this block here, right now we are getting ready to make a video on gapping these rings. Or actually, I'm in the process of making a video even right now for gapping these rings, and hopefully we'll get that out pretty shortly. But for now, we'll go out to the garage, get it painted, and get it cured. Alright, I didn't have enough time to finish this yesterday, so I've been working on it today. I coated with the primer, the paint, and the satin clear, which was a long process, and I let it sit for 3 hours, and then we followed the curing process. We did the 200, the 400, and then we did a 450, because I can't, my toaster oven that I use for curing things like this doesn't make it to 600 degrees, so we cured it at 450 as the max temp. I didn't mask anything up, so I had to clean up the gasket surface a little bit, but we got it all cleaned up. I'm ready to put it back on and that's what I'm going to go do, and we will see what the test results are whenever we start taking heat measurements of the engine with it running. And then we will pull the head off again and make sure that this coating has actually stayed. And for note, it's really hard. I can't scratch it. I did run it under water to clean it up, soap and water, after I clean the gasket up, and it's very hydrophobic. The water just runs right off of it, so hopefully that's a testament to how well it's on the part, and we'll see. Alright, we're set up again. Cylinder head's back on. We're going to perform the exact same test, running it wide open for 3 minutes and then letting it cool down for 7, and we will see how they compare to the original numbers.
Something tells me I know nothing at all. I've escaped my capture, and I have no master. I promise with a lie is broken by design. What I thought I knew has been swallowed by the truth. It's time to light the flame right before it rains. I'm not afraid. I'm not. All my life, one page at a time, I'll show you my true colors. No, I won't apologize for the fire in my eyes. Let me show you my true colors.
Alright, it's time to take the head back off. Inside. I've got the head pulled off. It's cooled down now so that I can handle it. As you can see, the paint is still there. It does have carbon buildup starting to form on the ceramic, but nowhere does the ceramic paint seem to be flaking off or coming off. I mean, it's still really hard. Even when I scratch it, I mean, like with my nail, I cannot scratch it. It's actually really tough coating. So as far as the test results go for when I was testing, on the original head without the coating, the starting temperature 30 seconds in, the head had already gotten to 240 degrees, whereas the coated head was only at 168, keeping the head temperature extremely low on first startup. The exhaust temperature at 1 minute on the uncoated head was 263, and on the coated head was 307. That shows me that this coating is actually reflecting the heat and putting it into the exhaust system just like I want it to for my turbo setup. So we did the 3 minutes at full rev and took our measurements there, and our measurements for the full 3 minutes for the uncoated head was 361 for the head and 352 for the exhaust on the uncoated head. But for the coated head, we had a 30-degree drop in the head temperature at 329 degrees, and we had almost a 100-degree increase on the exhaust side at 438 degrees. So again, you're seeing the coating reflect a lot of the heat into the exhaust system. So after we did the 3 minutes full rev, we finished the 10 minutes out for a cool down. And after the cool down time, before the coating was 294 and 321 for the exhaust, and after the coating we had 246 and 358 for the exhaust. So again, another 30-degree drop in head temperature, and also a 30-degree increase. Well, actually, a 50-degree increase or decrease. Oh my gosh. So for the remaining time, the cooldown time, we had 294 and 321 for the exhaust on the uncoated head, and 246 and 358 for the coated head, which means that we had a almost 50-degree drop in head temperature after the cool down, and we also had a 40-degree increase on the exhaust temperatures after the cool down. Again, just more proof that this is actually reflecting heat into the exhaust system and not allowing the engine to soak it up. The more heat we can get into the exhaust, the better the turbo is going to spool on my D16. But honestly, guys, I didn't have much for hopes for this. I was pretty sure this paint was just going to fall off and flake off inside the engine. But you know, shout out to VHT, because I was really skeptical, and I'm, you know, proved myself wrong. This is why I'm doing this. So compared to Cerakote, which would have costed me, you know, $150 or plus, right now I'm at like maybe $30 in paint, and I'm getting near the same effect. So we will be doing this to the Honda engine. We're going to do it to the piston faces, the combustion faces, the valve faces, and even the turbo manifold, turbo compressor wheel, or turbine wheel, not compressor wheel, turbine wheel, and the exhaust ports on the head. So just look forward to those videos, guys, and thanks again for watching 101 Performance. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Show you my true color.